Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it is time to have a look at the USS Phelps, the DD360 in the live server. Now, if you don't know, the USS Phelps and also the BA-11 are coming to the game in the form of rewards for World War. The new season, Attack from the Sea, starts tomorrow, and because of that, and also because of the fact that you have to get them through stars, or tasks, which if you need some help with, I'll leave some links in the description, and also there was a video that I made the other day going through it, therefore you can check that and stuff. If you want to get your hands on this vehicle, you have to pretty much get 6 of the tasks out of the 8, so you have to play 6 of the operations and be able to get this USS Phelps. So what is it? What is the USS Phelps? Well, it's a Porter class machine. Now, we had a Porter, the DD356. It was added to the game in updates 1.95, I believe. And the USS Porter is the version before the USS Phelps. So they're both Porter class machines, but the USS Porter is seen as a 1941 version of the Porter class, where the Phelps is a post-refit, so the 1944 version. This pretty much means that what you're seeing is something which is more representative of the destroyer at the end of the war, instead of at the start of the war, which is represented by the DD356. So overall, you're getting something which hopefully shows the progression of the mentality when it comes to these general destroyers. You can see a little bit less on the actual large caliber gun front, but a little bit more on the AA front, kind of like if you compare something like the Somers and the Sumner, or even the Porter to the Sumner as well. It just took a different tact and change in mentality, just because I honestly don't think they thought that planes were going to be as destructive to ships as they were. If we look at some of the largest ships in history, the Yamato, the Bismarck, these large monstrosities of machines, the reason why they were taken out was mainly because of plane involvement, not exactly the ship involvement, which yes, played a little bit of a part, but definitely wasn't seen as like the major turning point for that ship, or ships being sunk. And you can see this across the board. If you have a look at the tribal class destroyers from the British, there was of course a push once again towards in the center of the war when they got, I suppose, modernized or refit with the tribal classes in game, where they got much more heavily armed on the good old AA front. They actually took off a set of the main guns and changed it with a set of AA or multi-purpose guns. And it's just something which every nation pretty much did. Japan did it even to a higher extent sometimes. If you have a look at the amount of 25mm they added to some of their machines, the Akizuki being a great example, with having 35 25mm just sat all over it. It's just something that happened for every nation to try and combat the air effect. And the Phelps really does encompass this completely. What the Phelps does is it takes off some of the main guns that we see from the earlier Porter class, and it replaces them with some of the guns which are much more designed for AA capabilities. It also changes the mounts for the 5-inch guns themselves. So the Porter has access, or the USS Porter in-game, has access to 8 5-inch guns, 2 sets of the Chicago pianos, and then 2 dual-mounted 12.7s. The the Phelps, which is coming into the game as the World War Mode award, comes into the game with 5 5-inch guns overall, and then also it comes in with 4 sets of dual-mounted 40mm and a bunch of 20mm guns as well. It has, I believe, 8 overall. So you can see that while moving through the war, what the USS Phelps did was just pretty much replace a bunch of the main guns with stuff such as the Bofors, and also stuff such as the 8 Orlicans all over it. It's a nice little story from it, and also shows the progression of machines in the game. And I'm just wondering, because of that, what is the general outlook when it comes to its BR? Because the first thing that I look at when I see the Phelps is a machine which is very much designed to be able to withstand air attacks. And as somebody who plays a lot of arcade when it comes to ships, this is something that happens quite a lot on second or tertiary spawn, so I can definitely see this as a secondary spawn vehicle, where the first spawn vehicle would be something such as the first porter. And because of that, the question is, do you take this machine as a first spawn, or do you take this as a second spawn because of its general usefulness? I think what you do is you take it as a second spawn, and just because of the fact that you have a little bit less firepower compared to some of your contemporaries, but you have a little bit more versatility when it comes to it. So the porter class, the DD356 that we see, it has amazing killing power, one of the best killing powers of any destroyer in the game. If you've played the 4-7 American lineup for destroyers, what you'll find is an amazing combination of accuracy, of reload, of general just curtain fire that you can put down against any enemy that you can fight. You end up with this, if you use ranging shots, or if you just use general purpose fire, you can batter a target within seconds. In my opinion, just out and out, this lineup of the American destroyers of 4-7 and 4-3, the Porter, the Sumner, and the Somers, can pretty much decimate any other destroyer lineup in the game. And the only thing that is stopping it is the fact that if you run at 4-7, you do have the opportunity of getting up-tiered into 5-7 and having Brooklyns, Oygons, and Graf Spies giving you the Watt 4. So overall, with that, if we now add another machine into the mix, the Phelps, which is kind of like a mini Sumner in the way, it has just slightly less 40mm and slightly less 20mm, and also slightly less 5 inches, but if you give it a lower BR of 4-3, now what you've done is you've created a 4-3 lineup with the Fletcher, the Porter, and now the Phelps, which can dominate so hard because of the fact that it isn't going to get up-tiered into that 5-7 bracket. If you've played a lot of top-tier ships, what you'll find is 5-0 to 5-7 is just 5-7. It's as simple as that, because there is a lot of players at 5-7, whether it's because of the premiums that have been added, whether it's because of other reasons, but a lot of people play those higher tier stuff. The Brooklyn, the Pensacola, the Belfast, the Helena, stuff such as the Oygen, and even the Graf Spee. So that 5-0, 5-3 area doesn't exist in any meaningful way. So when you have a 4-7 lineup, you're just going to get up to 5-7. But what if you could create a lineup which is 4-3, and therefore you don't get up-tiered into that 5-7 bracket? What now happens is you are now technically a step below the highest BR, the BR bracket of 5-7 to 4-7, and so you are now at the top of the next BR bracket, which is 4-3 to something like 3-3. And what ends up happening at 4-3 is you face a ton of destroyers and really nothing else. And because of the killing power of the Porter DD356, and to a lesser extent the Fletcher DD445, now what we have is a premium added to the lineup, so it should come in spaded as well, which you can now run with those two machines and just clatter anything that you find. For me personally, this makes another incredibly strong lineup for the Americans at the top tiers of the destroyer area. I already believe that it is the strongest lineup when we compare it to any other nation. The closest one is Japan, with the Akizuki, the Yugamo, the Ayanami, and also the Udachi, if you want to throw it in there, or the Kiyoshimo, just because of the long lance torpedoes and their very much usefulness when it comes to arcade. Laying down 16 of them and then also having a reload on them is incredibly strong for sorting out areas. But just from raw firepower and raw ability to be able to annihilate anything that it sees, the American destroyers have that on lockdown. So to see another destroyer added to that area is just bonkers in a way. I think it may have been better to give another nation a gift for World War Mode, but then you've got to remember every other nation over the last year or so has been given some form of a high-tier event vehicle. The Jaguar, of course, from Operation Frost for the Germans. If we have a look at the Soviets, you have the Leningrad from the Sea Voyage event. Of course, the HMS Tiger from one of the Build-A-Bear events, and the Udachi as well. So the US is the only nation which is missing out when it comes to some form of premium vehicle or some form of event vehicle, which, you know, has been added to the game. So it's nice to see every nation equally getting something through this. The only issue is it would have been nice to maybe see something which doesn't complement a lineup so well, and maybe would have a little bit of a different effect on the game. Maybe a 4-0 or a 3-7 would be nicer, but if you're looking for a raw firepower, and if you're looking for something to, you know, just be insane, this just adds into an already insane lineup. The other thing as well with it is it now makes it easier for people to get, obviously, to rank 4 and rank 5. A lot of people have been talking about the issues of being able to play big ships and the issues of, you know, grinding through PT boats and battle boats. Well, now you have another premium at rank 3 which can get you through those lower tiers and get you through quickly those high tiers, while also playing larger ships in the form of destroyers. So hopefully, you know, you can do that, and hopefully people can enjoy their big ships and become part of the big ship community. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Daniel Stanton, Jay Wilt, John Ryman, Martinez, Moxie, Super Cacti, Trigger Hippie, Eugens Terry, and also Elove Goat and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.